Alright, we are on Mars. And before we start, let me introduce Offworld, in case we have beginners who are not used to game here. Offworld is an economic real-time strategy game. In StarCraft, other RTS game, you produce units to destroy enemy units or buildings. In Offworld, instead of destroying enemy units or buildings, you have to buy out all your opponent's stocks to win the game. That will require a lot of money. So, the question is, how do I make money? Which market to chase? There are a lot of markets on the board. There are several things to consider, like prices, stockpiles, and opponent's production and consumptions. But I'd like to start with the X key. So, as people found their HQs on the board, they will build these buildings to produce resources, and you can see how money they will be making by clicking X key. If you click X key, you see how profitable they are. Of course, the amount of money they make is not all the consideration put into it. You also want to know if you need it for future use and whether the price will rise or fall in the future, near or distant future. So there are a lot of things to consider. So tell me more about, tell me what you think about these players' funds, Tret.
Well, so I think this was actually a very interesting map. We had double priced carbon, and double priced silicon, and there was a devil tile to the north. A devil tile is, for some, I'm not sure why we call them devil tiles, but yeah. So a tile can have two resources on them, and if they both can be mined by an elemental quarry, then they both will. And the XT here is the first he found, and he took advantage of that. So he has a quarry currently earning him, using the XT, $87 per second. Which, I mean, yeah, I would have found it for sure. Unfortunately, he did find elite, and there's no iron nearby. I love the position they found, but not how it was executed on HQ1. I would have found there as Nomad or Scavenger. And I think Bismalian had similar idea. So, like, he kind of wanted to come second here, so he has like a neighboring carbon with a neighboring silicon, which is very curious. It can work, though. What about other people's funds? I also focus on that one. Okay, so I guess there was iron, southeast. So yeah, at this point of the game, the benefit of founding where I talked about is that on HQ1 you get off to the fastest start by selling this carbon, selling this silicon. You get a quick lead to HQ2 and maybe even HQ3. And this is a glass colony, which further makes it a good round because you can use the silicon to make glass. But yeah, so at this point, people are probably looking into water markets instead. Food is starting to rise, and let's see, did anyone? Yeah, so it looks like the three new players are or should you say, unorthodox founds. Both the elite and the expensive don't have any iron, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I do like that Scars play. But he will have to rely on people selling aluminum to him.
Yeah. So the elites found worries me because while silicon is a good tile and they did secure very excellent tiles, although it's vulnerable to nukes, explain later, elites need steel to upgrade, and you need tiles to place buildings, make productions, and you make productions to make money. But because they did not have a good way to make these resources, elite had difficulty upgrading. They did upgrade, but it's going to be difficult going further because they still don't have nice way to make money or steel. They do have power, but power price is not high, so it's going to be a slow start.
Yeah.
Mutiny actions going on a single wind turbine.
Yeah, so this is, in my opinion, not a good mutiny target, simply because it's a single wind turbine, it's not producing that much power, and most importantly, power is not expensive.
Yeah.
So even if this goes on for a full 2 minutes, you won't have gained that much from it.
Yeah. if there's no apparently good tile to attack, I recommend you to buy. Look at this one. Bribe a claim. It's not always on the black market, but if it's on the market, it's think about it as securing future investments. So you have more claims to work with, and that having extra one tile is going to pay off over time.
Yeah, for sure. So there are extra things to consider when there's the underground nuke on the black market. So the underground nukes will lower a resource by 2 levels. So everything except the high will become a trace, which is a really bad level below low, which is a quarter of an income per second. And a high will go to a low. So what this means is that highs are very valuable, and also founding on top of resources is very valuable. So if you get nuked, the neighboring tile probably has the same resource, so we can just move over there. So what I would like to point out with that is that everyone's water, well, I guess there's ice. That scar's water is very vulnerable to nukes. There are no highs, and it didn't found next to them. And also, this is a curious one. That scar did found on iron, which is great. That's what you want to do with nukes. But it also took a remote iron. I would much prefer if this was on the iron adjacent to space. I mean, it would even give more iron because of adjacency bonuses. There's no reason to take this remote iron.
Usually,
do we have any other nuke?
Usually, have a steel user, having +2 iron production is enough. But in this case, we have some special case going on because an expensive player, this player, Santa Cruno, did not secure any iron. So while they are running steel mill, they're in deficit of -2. In this elite player, XD, also did not secure iron, so they're consuming -2. So those -2, -4 in total consumption is going to drive the price of iron, which was what was happening. So Deska might have looked at the situation and adapted so that they secure extra iron for that. Although they could have secured this iron adjacent to the base, which would be more flexible for later uses.
But even if they only needed to supply their own iron, I still wouldn't take the high one.
Yeah.
Because if you get nuked, you can't do anything else with that tile. I mean, you can place a solar panel there or something. It's not good.
Yeah, it's
I'd much rather have, especially when there are bribe claims on the market. It's more okay to take 2 iron claims in that situation. And yeah, we had 2 steelers, and I also want to add there was an iron shortage. So Marlon has really done a good job choosing the markets here. He's been HQ5 for a while.
Yeah.
What do you think about his play here?
They have committed heavily into these greenhouse farms, which can be good or bad. So farm was making excellent amount of money, and crashing this market is going to deny that Scar's access to this money in the food market, which I think is a great move. And then after crashing the market, they chased other profitable market. But as you have just seen, this base layout is very vulnerable to power surges. Yeah. One surge and you lost 8 buildings. So what they could have done was they still have some room in this founding spot. So if this farm, 2 double farms were moved into more western side, it could have separated the farm from rest of the buildings, which would disconnect power surges from spreading to other tiles, and vice versa on other clump of tiles.
Definitely.
So clumping tiles like this can make you very vulnerable to black markets.
Yeah. So we can call this aspect of the game SimCity, and it is actually pretty important. And I would like to point out another SimCity thing that I think should have been on here. If you connect these wind turbines with your base, you can get a lot of value out of the superconductor patent.
Yeah.
And it does increase the risk of power surges, but that's why we have gun squads, which are really cheap right now, by the way. And pretty much always a good investment. At least when they're this cheap.
Okay, Uh,
I want to point out one thing about the silicon tile he took. So that Scar took the one on the left in this line, triple line, and Martel took the one on the right, leaving the one in the middle untaken. That increases the what's it called? The goodness. That makes that Scar more likely to take that tile and steal it away from you. So even if you pay like a tiny fraction more on shipping cost, I would have taken the one in the middle, giving you the option to take the one on the right in case silicon, what's it called, skyrockets. It probably won't though, because we have a lot of silicon being mined by the elite.
Yeah.
But just in case.
There are two things I would like to point out at this point of the game. In the Bismalian's base in the middle, we see one single greenhouse farm. What do you think about this tile?
Oh yeah, this is something I see a lot from new players. So what you have to realize is a single tile gets no adjacency bonus, but if you have two tiles next to each other, you get 50% each. So it's like 2 buildings are as good as 3 single buildings, but it's even better than that, because they consume less input than 3 single buildings. Yeah. So you basically never ever want a single building of something that consumes a resource. Exceptions are like geotherms, although I guess they don't consume resources. Yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb. So I would like to see a pair of farms here.
Yeah. Another thing I would like to point out is pleasure domes. Pleasure dome is a very easy to miss market, but if you have monopoly over the entertainment market, it's going to pay off a lot of money for you. So Marlonte has been the only player who has been in entertainment, and they have earned 100k already. So Marlonte hasn't earned 100 in resources sold, 200 in resources sold, but they earned half of that in entertainment already. It's a lot of money here. People should contest this. People should notice this.
And oh no. Alright, Marlentel desperately needs to go into his options and turn on auto supply. Right now his reactors aren't running.
Yeah.
Because they don't have water. But also I want to put out, Marlentel needs a strategy for how to win. Like he got to HP 5 fast, but then what? You need to give yourself an advantage here. And because you have this pleasure dome situation, I suggest a strong thing to do here is build a patent lab, goon it, and research virtual reality, first of all. And I mean, there are other good patents too.
Yeah.
Virtual reality is priority 1 here now.
Virtually,
because that will, Lai pointed out the insane profits, and they will only get better with time, and much better with the virtual reality patent.
Yeah.
The black market is open for business.
Instead, going for the Offworld. No wait, there was that Scar. That Scar is going for the Offworld, so that is definitely a way to grab a late game advantage too. The problem is, with this right now, in my opinion... Oh, it's at the colony too. The problem with this is, the black market is very cheap. And there are no holograms. Everyone will know this is happening. Everyone knows it's a high value target. They know if they can mutiny it, they will earn like much more money than they spent on the mutiny.
Yeah.
This drags a lot of attention, and that attention is not really worth this investment at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good play when black market prices are higher, or if there are holograms, or if you have thinking machine patent and it's next to your base. But I cannot recommend this play in this current situation. So I would prefer from him instead getting some of those patents or just optimizing. There's a lot of money to be made onward. You can optimize some steel, some chem, some glass, some food, some oxygen. There are lots of good money to be made on-world. You don't have to go off-world for money, right?
Mutiny exchanges from all across the map.
Yeah. I guess this was an interesting point about this line of silicon. So Marnell can mutiny the one in the middle and get the pair bonus. I wouldn't, like, silicon still isn't very expensive. So maybe not the most valuable mutiny, but...
Yeah, especially when there's this offer right there next to it.
Yeah. And there are spies. So that Scar hasn't even gooned it, and everyone who pays like 1,500 and waits 30 seconds. Or, well, yeah, you get a short cooldown is what I want to say. 30 seconds, not too long. And then you will know that it's not good. So one other thing you can do with your early lead as Marlonel is to get a majority buy or just a buy.
Offworld shipment launched.
I'm not sure. Like at this point, I would do it because
Yeah.
the opportunity to go through the patent lab is kind of missed. And yeah, it does a shift buy on XD, which gives him 2 bonus claims, which is nice. And I'm not sure if it would be a good sub.
HQ full.
Probably not.
Yeah. XD does not look like an excellent sub, but XD was XD in the Big Dead? I am not sure.
Yeah, I was in deep as one. It cost 13 and a half.
So they were cheaper than others, which makes sense.
Yeah, it was very cheap. And Santa Cruno left the game after that. So we have 3 players left: Bismalion, Scar, and Marlontel.
Yeah.
And okay, so after buying that, Marlontel went right into Scar. So Marlontel has 3 optimizations. No, wait. That was Scar. Marlontel has... Okay, I like his optimizations. Maybe fuel and silicon wasn't really necessary, especially since you only have 1 low silicon. But going into... Sorry. I don't like fuel or silicon. I do like food and oxygen.
Food will be great. Electronics is going to be
this
big.
will have to... yeah. Yeah, fuel is clearly the offer launch, which makes that a good one. Well, it was a bit early. But anyway, my point is, now this investing money into stock here, we pretty much have to rely on these optimizations and upgrades to carry him to all the money he needs to buy out Scar. And I'm not sure it will. We'll see.
Yeah,
My money right now is actually on Scar.
I think my money is on Marlontel because they have stock advantage.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Black market is online.
So they have stock advantage because they don't have a lot of debt and they own stock in XD, the company bought out. But for every stock you own, your own stock price increases, which can be a really, really nice defensive tool.
Yeah. This card does have 1 Offworld, earning $800 per second, and it's not contested, so like it's...
Yeah, that was my point. Of course, if somebody uses black market on that, then Scar will not win. But nobody's doing it, so I think he might win. We'll see.
Yeah, but Marlontel does have advantage in pleasure markets, and
That's true.
like Marlontel needs 300k to buy a Scar. Scar needs 500k. So
Yeah.
there's also the difference there.
That's very true. Oh wow, food is really good money right now.
Yeah, food is really good.
Launch affirmative. What a payout.
So that Scar has a lot of spies on Marlontel. I'm not... I guess looking for goons. So usually you would spy like this if there are holograms on the market, but there are none, so you know what all the buildings are. But yeah, I guess he sees that a power surge on these farms would be really, really good. So this triangle of farms making like $250 each per second.
Yeah.
So a power surge on that shuts it down for 750 times 100, which is 75,000. If you pay 5,000, you deny your opponent 75,000, and you increase the value of your own food. So it's a very, very, very strong investment here. Let's see what it does with this black market cooldown. Yeah, I would like to point out in general, I don't think people are using the black market enough.
Yeah.
It's a very strong tool here.
If you see 5k in this stage of the game, people are not very active.
Yeah. There's still the nukes, and yeah, 5 power surge is really, really cheap. There we go, Marlontel bought one.
And hit
So one thing, yeah.
Chem Refinery, I don't agree with this one because there's another market, very nice market, and also special building. You can hit them both in one strike. It will be really great if they hit this tile.
Yeah. So, how do you know where to target?
Our methods
It's this
continue to
wonderful
improve.
X key again. It's not only good for knowing how good your buildings are, it's good for knowing how good the opponent's buildings are.
Yeah.
And it does even calculate it using their
Black market
optimizations,
is
so we'll know
online.
how much money they make.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't work on the off-road market. But yeah, that's how you can know where to hit.
At this point, electronics has risen to 445. So if
Yeah.
people are prepared for that, it would have been great. But it's not too late to get into that market. Although glass is also perfect right now.
Optimization
There
routine
are many
successful.
good markets to get into.
I think that Scar isn't auto-launching his offer. It's currently not doing anything.
We caught a dirty
Yeah.
To
rat
auto-launch,
to break
which
our
I
stuff.
definitely recommend, you open up the off-road menu and you shift-click. And then the game will automatically launch that
HQ has
resource
been upgraded.
as soon as the first one finishes. It's a very, very nice thing to do.
There's one thing
And
to
I'm not sure
point.
how long this has been idle, but
Our fortune awaits.
There's one thing I would like to point out. Malontail was almost close to buying out that car, but because Malontail has built an off-road market, they had more than 300k, but it dropped 100k because the off-road market was finished. So what they could have done was not build the off-road market and use the money put into those resources, sell it, and finish buy on that scar. That will win you the game.
yeah, I agree. So both of these players have to realize that
Off-road
they're kind of
takes,
in the end of this rush to buy each other.
yeah. Off-road takes
So-
time to pay off, and you might
Yeah, it takes a long time.
yeah, you might be able to grab the victory before you build this off-road market.
However, it does look like your prediction is correct. Valentel is gaining a lot more money than that Scar.
Yeah,
Or maybe he's not making more money, I think, but
this
because
launch,
he has to pay much, much less, he's getting there first.
Yeah.
And there we go, he gets it.
Malontail
So at this
makes
point, it's impossible to lose, because Bismalion will need 1.6 million to buy you out, and that just
Methods
doesn't happen.
continue to improve.
So, what should we do? Should we look for things? Should we check out why
The
Valentel won?
black market is open for
Yeah,
business.
and I would like to point out the amount of money earned from entertainment revenue versus the amount of money that got earned from off-road market.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest factor that changed the trajectory of the game.
I agree. Yeah, so why are pleasure domes sometimes so super good and why are they sometimes bad?
Because the revenue of the pleasure dome depends on the size of the colony that has these habitats, and also the type of HQs on the
Optimization
board,
routine successful.
and the level of
Shipment launch.
those HQs. And in this game, the elite, expensive scavenger, they all contribute good amount of money to offer entertainment revenue, and the pool of the money is distributed between pleasure domes. So if you are the sole owner of the pleasure dome, then you have a lot of payoff from that market. And that's what Malontail secured in the early game.
Yeah. And for things to improve on,
Pleasure dome is
I really
complete.
need to point out
I
black
wonder
market
what
again.
goes on in there.
Yeah.
So this totally unhidden, very early built off-road market, I believe has still never been attacked. Like, even if you don't care about shutting that scar down, just doing a mutiny on it will earn you much, much more than you spent on the mutiny. So, yeah. I mean, I know it's difficult. There's a lot to do in a game of Offworld, but
Yeah, there's a lot of things going
yeah.
on.
One thing that helps you notice Offworlds are that you can see them in this top right score area. That will show you all the advanced buildings people have, unless they're
Black
hologram.
market is open for business.
So once you notice that, you should, oh, an Offworld, that's an expensive building and a profitable building. Let's see where it is. Since spies were basically free, you should probably drop a spy there. As soon as you see there's no goon, you should mutiny it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So while we are waiting for the game to end, would you explain us about what kind of black markets we have here? We have 8 of them. We covered claims, mutiny, and power surge. What are the others?
So oh wow, someone just bought a really expensive Goon Squad. So
Wow.
Goon Squad is like the most important one. It's in every single game, and the main purpose is to limit like the spread of power surges or spreading
Successful
black
Offworld
markets.
shipment.
So
Make
if
room
you
for
have,
profits.
say, a line of wind turbines, and put a Goon Squad on the one in the middle, basically nothing bad can really happen to your power production. Like maybe someone can spend 2 black markets to hurt 2 of them, but that's not really worth it.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really nice way to stop propagation of the bad black markets, and it's in every single game. And it's very important for your risky advanced buildings. Like if you make an early patent lab and somebody freezes it for 2 minutes, then you spent a lot to get that one and you won't be able to use it. You really need Goon Squads for such situations too. We have Minor Storm, which is like a personal favorite. It kills building drones, which are really very slow. If someone's trying to build, for example, an Offworld market at the colony, you can Minor Storm it. And it will take like a minute for that scarce building drone to reach there again. And also when you buy it, you get 2 of them, so you can like delay it by 2 minutes.
Of course, you have to pay a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So the game is finished, so let's move out and
Yeah.
go back to lobby.
Yeah, and good job.